Hi, everybody. Ann Butler here. We are back for another Facebook Live. I am sorry we've had a couple weeks off. I have been traveling, and Lisa has had some medical issues. She had surgery, as many of you know. But we are back, and we are back with an interview that I know you guys will all just love. So I'm going to bring in our guest. There we go. So Tiffany Windsor, we are so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to join you today. And it's been a little while. I know I think I've joined you once or twice. First time was when I first moved to Tennessee and I couldn't get my internet to work and all sorts of problems. So it's great to be back.
Well, yeah, I was thinking because there were so many people that didn't quite see it or, didn't catch it. Wasn't a good video recording. And you have everything working now. So we're so happy. Hi, Isabel. So happy to have you. How warm is it over there, Isabel? She's over in Scotland.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So, yeah. But yeah, so we're happy to have Tiffany back for another go at it. And Tiffany has lots to share. And in the graphic, I put, we're going to be doing crafty talk, everything crafty, because that's what we love to do. And I think we have lots to share, right?
We do. I don't know exactly where you want to start because I have had the great fortune of being able to spend a lot more time with Ann lately, albeit it's through the computer and through Zooms and such. But we both were called to a new project that we have been working on for months that the Lord spoke to us. And I'm so excited about it and so excited to be doing this with you, Ann, because it's such a blessing. So
yes.
I don't know how much we want to reveal today, other than you can see Faith-Filled Creatives is the name of our new company, because being in the craft world for so long, of course, we're creatives. And we think it's time to stand up and speak our love of the Lord and incorporate that in with the creative work that we do. So I think we can appeal to I don't know if you can hear the dog barking in the background. I think we can appeal to a broad audience, but we also want to share with you some fun, new creative ideas and endeavors through Faith-Filled Creatives.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Isabel, 5 Celsius. I'm not sure what Celsius. I don't know. So maybe it's about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it goes up. I'm not sure.
That's cool.
But yeah. Hi, Helen. So yes, Faith-Filled Creatives. It is, I think we've been working on this for about 5-6 months. Hey, Beatrice.
Yeah, I think time is flying. So it is either 5 or 6 months. And we're very deeply into the planning. And so we have a lot, including reviving something that I did many years ago.
Yes.
I don't know if that was like 2009, 2010. I don't know. I started on YouTube in 2010, so I have to think it's sometime around that.
Yeah, I think it started before you put it on YouTube.
Right.
It went through that platform.
Right. And so it's Pajama Party. And so we're going to launch that again and go live with Pajama Parties and share creative ideas and projects and many of the great things that Anna has been doing for years and years while I've been out of the industry. Just trying to get people back into creating. I know you are already pulling a huge audience of creators, but we want to get the word back out there. It's kind of the grassroots movement, honestly, that my mom did back in the 40s and the 50s.
Yep.
And it's so much easier to reach out worldwide now that it's pretty exciting. So we'll have more details coming up, but I think that's just a little glimpse of what we're going to launch with. But we have other events planned, and I don't know if you want to go into any of that. But
well, hey Gina. So I just want, for those of you, I can't. It's about 41 degrees. Okay, Isabel, it's still cold, But I'm not in Minnesota where it's negative something right now. I'm on vacation. You can tell I'm not in my studio. But for those of you that are joining that do not know Tiffany, her mom was Aline from Aline's Tacky Glue in the Gold Bottle. They had the Aline's Creative Living Show for 12, 15 years.
It ran for 16 years. I was producer and host for 6 years. I left in 1999 and it went off air in 2000.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, there's so much history that Tiffany brings to the industry. I mean, from the time she was tiny,
Born.
her mom was going, right?
One of my first memories is I was 3 or 4 years old, and my mother put us to work very young, and I was actually running the cash register in her store, and I had to step up a little step ladder in order to run the cash register. And she taught us very early how to give change. There weren't credit cards then. Everything was cash and checks. So yes, so from a very young age, definitely deeply immersed into creativity. My sisters and I have often had the discussion of, if we had not been born into a creative family, would we have been creative? I don't know. You just don't know. But when you're exposed from a very young age, one of my first jobs with my sisters was my mom would have to sell merchandise. And so she would task us with coming up with ideas on how to make different things. And of course, my sisters, one of them 6 years older and one of them is 9 years older than I am. So I was there helping. But we were tasked very young to be very creative thinking. And that has helped me in every career that I have ever had, to be a creative thinker.
Right. And I totally get where you're coming from. If you weren't born into that, would you be? I think everybody can be creative if they want to be. I think some people choose not to. They have other interests.
Right.
But my dad was an artist, and painter all my life. So, of course, I love doing everything. But Gina says, your mom was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And Beatrice says, great memories for me. Me and my mom would watch all the time. My mom passed away 13 years ago. I sure do miss her and our craft time together.
There was something that was very special during the Aline's era, is what I call it, even though Tacky Glue is still around. When my mom started that business and all the way to when Aline's was actually sold to I Love to Create in 2000, there was this amazing community, just this community. And one of the things I learned when I was producing and hosting the show, and I started receiving letters from our viewers who said, you have no idea how creativity has changed my life. And all of a sudden I understood the power of television and creativity. And one of the focuses for me as producing that show was that community and just sharing the love of creativity, because that's what was important to me. And it was an amazing time.
It truly was. And it was, I know it touched so many people's lives. It touched my life. I recorded those shows. And because I worked, so I couldn't watch them. So I'd watch them when I got home or whenever I had time. But that is also where I sent my first project, was for the Big Book of Crafts.
Right. Oh my gosh. Did we pick something?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And Lisa always talks about, because she used to submit to you too, and her stuff was published. But Lisa always talks about creativity being good for your soul, because she has chronic disease, and it helps her. That is what gives her purpose. And Isabel just said she grew up in a family where people cooked, knit, sewed, embroidered, and never thought of ourselves as creative. It was just part of our lives.
Right.
And it's true. But nowadays, so many people They don't, it's fast food. It is TV all the time. It's screen time. It is not, so I had 5 kids, even the boys. I had 2 girls and 3 boys. All of them I taught to sew. I thought it was important. Plus they all learned in school, but they just need, if a button, is off, you should be able to fix it.
Right.
So, and they were all creative, and all my grandkids, they come to my craft room.
And it's different for me since creativity was work.
Right.
And my mom, a lot of people didn't realize my mom really didn't craft. She was an expert at marketing. And so she figured out, she could see it in her mind. And then she had designers to say, this is what I want you to make. And so she pulled together some really great designers from the very earliest days. And then my sister Heidi took on that role. And I don't know, Heidi must have made 10,000 projects more, over her career. So it's different. I did learn how to crochet when I was in my early 20s. So again, it wasn't part of generations handing it down, like learning crochet from a grandmother. All of my family worked in the business. My mom put grandparents to work and cousins. So it was a job, but it was a job. When I was a kid, I wasn't so happy about it when we were having to open up the mail that my mom was getting from her television appearances. On a Saturday, we were in stuffing the mail with idea sheets and project sheets, but I so respected it once I became more working age to understand what I was taught through that experience. So truly blessed through my creative life.
That's totally understandable, because as a child, it is harder, but it built that foundation in you and your work ethic. Beatrice said that she would record the shows too. And that's where she first saw Jules, because Jules worked for your mother.
Okay. And of course, that time it was your DVR machine that you'd put it in VCR machine. Yes, we would talk to people and say, I have 200 tapes of your shows, because when I started producing it, it was 1 day a week, 30 minutes. And we were on the Nashville network, and it's such a small world. Here I am now in Tennessee, very close to Nashville. And we were doing all of our shows out of California at that point. But it's amazing how many people every single day were recording that show and going back and watching it. And so pretty amazing. I did over 2,000 episodes, and each show had between 8 and 10 segments in it. So that's a lot of crafts that I learned about. I did some of them myself, but that's a whole lot of crafting.
Oh my goodness, it is. And even so, people I know would record them to watch later, but then they would save them so that they could watch and follow along, much like when we do lives now, people can just follow along.
Right.
Gina said, I was deeply depressed and felt I had nothing left to get out of bed for. Then I was introduced to paper crafting. It saved my life and continues to keep me going back there. Oh, Gina. Thank you. I mean, it truly is. And it's a way to connect with people. And she said one of our first projects was Aleene's glue on silk flowers, creating wall decor. I still have the flower basket I made.
Wow. That
is amazing.
Yes. So incredible. And I definitely want to tap back into everything I learned from my mom in creativity. I have my own YouTube channel, which is Cool to Craft. We are going to start a new YouTube channel for Faith-Filled Creatives. And I made over 1,000 videos. Some of those are no longer live on my YouTube channel, but definitely want to tap back into all of the crafts that my mom did when she started. Her first book was Treasures from Trash, I think it was called. It was a hardbound book. And all of those techniques, and Anne, we've talked about this, it's so important. We want to teach techniques. are so usable today.
Yes.
And so we're going to tap back into that. And when my mom started her business, you have to remember there was no craft industry. There was no Walmart.
No.
Joann's may have been a fabric store back then. I don't even know. And I know
I
Aunt gave
think
me a
we
copy
came
of
in
it.
the 50s maybe. So
Yeah. And so there were mom and pop stores, there were hobby stores. My mom started selling to women who would start businesses in their garage. And so she was one of the first craft distributors. And so the way she crafted, it was all from discards. It was egg cartons. It was foil. That's still the look of forged foil from aluminum foil. All of these projects that you had to make from things that you normally throw away at that point because there was not recycling. And so it's amazing to see the cycle that had happened with so many materials in the craft stores. We're missing a lot of those now because a lot of those companies aren't around anymore. So I really would like to see all of that revived. And you're going to hear me on my soapbox. When I was leaving the craft industry, Pinterest was really becoming popular. And I thought, oh no, oh no, oh no. People are going to think that they're being creative and expressing their creativity by simply pinning posts of other pretty things. I want to see everybody get hands-on because there's something very special about that when you're touching all of these things and you're creating with your hands. So that's going to be one of my focuses in Faith-Filled Creatives, to get that back and slow down. Let's slow down. And
well, yeah, taking that time. I mean, I think if you take just a few minutes each day to do something creative, it just makes you feel better.
mm-hmm.
I just, a lot of people don't have the time to craft all the time, of course. Mm-hmm. And that's my job. That's your job now. And, but at our age, we're able to choose more what we want to do, which is nice. But if everybody could just craft for a few minutes each day, it calms you down.
And what I want to go through too, because I did that here when I moved to Tennessee, I had zero craft supplies. And when my mom passed in 2015, I closed my studio, my design studio, gave everything away and did not craft, went back into corporate. And so when I got here, I didn't have anything. And I thought, well, I feel like now I have time. I'm retired from corporate work. Now I'm doing the things that I get to choose as opposed to working for other companies. And so I thought, well, what do I want to start with? And I want to take people through that journey, because when you watch other people craft and they have all of these amazing craft supplies in their studio, you can get intimidated. So the first thing I bought was alphabet rubber stamps and watercolors. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I've done so many different crafts, but that was like a small investment, and I could put it into a little tote. So, and I actually just posted on my website, which is Inspired at Home, kind of one of the first projects I did with the watercolors, which was a layered heart project. And so I just want to teach people you don't have to start with all of these expensive materials and all of these expensive machines. You're going to want to grow into that,
mm-hmm.
but you don't have to start there.
Right. And okay, so like if we fast forward a little bit, because the show was over and you went into another industry, but then you came back and you started Cool to Craft.
Right.
And that is where her YouTube channel is. And some of you may remember you had 2 shows a week. There was a show during the day and then the pajama party at night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to bring back. We're going to bring back the pajama party. And I had mentioned to Tiffany that it had been in my mind for a long time to do a pajama party. And we do one at BellaCon where we open all the swag and do all the fun stuff and all the instructors are there. But I had felt in my heart I wanted to do it. Even though we do 2 lives a week as Bella, I still wanted to do the pajama party. So when Tiffany and I started talking, I thought it meant more to do it with her because it was her to begin with. And the pajama party, for those of you that don't know, it would usually start at 9 o'clock at night Central Time. And it would go for about an hour, and we have guests on, just like we do here. But we would do 3 or 4 projects during that time.
Right.
Yeah. So
yes. And the thing about that was, again, there weren't these platforms, this ease of going into live streams and all. We were using a beta testing program that was actually Intuit was beta testing this, and it worked.
it did, because
A lot of those videos are still on my YouTube channel. When you go back and pull up the 2010 videos, one of those, I believe then, I'm pretty sure it was right at the beginning, my sister did my mom's technique of the look of forged metal, and it has 3 million views, and the quality of the video is not good. So we're going to revive some of those and so that you can get some really high definition quality, but it worked. It worked.
Mm-hmm. It did.
For all of us to connect. So going to do that again.
Yeah. So we're deciding on a good time to start, which
Yes.
will be this year. And we already have our first guest planned, and you all know her. So, and she did the pajama parties back in the day with us. Right. I mean, so
yes, and I'm going to go back and look on my YouTube channel and see what some of those projects were back then, because it's really fun. And she has explained to us like challenges that she had in like preparing to go on air, and just starting out, maybe being a little hesitant about it or scared, or so it's really cool to have this go full circle so many years later. And I mean, who would have known? I would not. I don't know. I never planned ahead in my life. And who would have known at this point in my life, I just turned 69, that I would be back doing this. But this is what I'm being led to do. So this is my beautiful retirement time to bring what I love back to everyone else. So.
Well, and for those of you that don't know, Tiffany's mother is the one that was her, Patricia Nokomis. There were 4 ladies.
Patricia Nimitz.
Okay.
Right. Hazel Pearson.
Hazel.
I don't know who the 4th one is. I know my mom and Hazel are credited with bringing a bigger audience at the time. I think Patricia started at the same time. I should know who else I might be missing, but
I think I have it in that list I sent you.
Yeah, and I have it here someplace. Aline and Hazel started what was called the Craft Makers Caravan. I know where I put my notes. I have them here. There's like pages and pages and pages of notes that we're going to go through this whole history and share all of this over the next years. But Aline and Hazel started something called the Craft Makers Caravan. And so my mom came up with the idea, and she approached Hazel, who actually was in close proximity. Like their businesses were 10 minutes apart.
Nice.
In California. And it was like, how does that happen? And so what they did is my mom bought this big box truck, and they made all of these finished projects. And my dad built sandwich boards, and they would attach the finished projects onto the sandwich boards, pack them in the truck. My dad was a photographer and an artist, so he laid out books. So he would photograph all of these designs, and he'd lay them all out, and they bought a printing press and they printed these books. And these were maybe 8, 10, 12 page books that were sold for 25 cents, 35 cents. And so the way my mom made her money to pay for the convention centers that she rented is we sold books. So because there were craft stores to go and get all of these ideas. And so the very first stop for her was the Pasadena Convention Center. And it was in the 1960s. I'd have to look at the history. It's probably here in my notes.
It would be.
and there were 20,000 people that showed up, and they lined up all around the convention center.
Amazing.
Have photos. We'll share that in our pajama parties, because I have photos of this convention center, huge ballroom, just jam-packed with these sandwich boards with these designs, and then they'd break off into different sections of this room to learn techniques. And that's where we did make and take. So my mom is the originator of the term make it and take it. And so one of my jobs at that time, because I was about 8 years old, was to teach. So each of the kids, there's 5 of us, and we would, even my younger brother taught and at a table, and it was amazing memories from that. So, and those shows would go on a couple of days. I think they were like 2-day shows. So
see, that's amazing, because she would just get in the vehicle and drive around.
So and then she'd have a driver that would go further and further east to do these shows, and it was amazing. So I want people to understand how this movement started, because you take it for granted when you go down the street and you shop at Michael's and you shop Joann's. I think I heard that they were closing some stores or many stores.
They're restructuring,
yeah, Hobby Lobby and all of that. Those didn't exist, and so we'll go into some of the history so that you understand. The Walmart craft sections. There's a cute story my mom has that Sam Walton actually contacted her directly because she kept telling him no, that Walmart could not sell Aleene's tacky glue, and she just didn't like the whole concept. And took a few years, but he talked her into it, and Aleene's tacky glue is still at Walmart. So
it is.
Yeah, it's a fun history that I hope means as much to other people as it does to me. So that's my hope.
I think that people love to hear history about things that they're interested in. Yes. And so I knew she did the craft caravan and everything, but her and Hazel, Patricia, and I think one other person also started the Society of Craft Designers in the 70s.
Yes. Yeah.
I think.
So it's 1967 that Mom started the Craft Makers Caravan. And it had to be in the 70s that the Society of Craft Designers, there had to be some sort of structure to the whole idea, of course, of crafts, and not all of the manufacturers really understand this, is driven by designers. These designers, these creative people who are coming up with these amazing ways to use these products. And so there needed to be some structure for the craft industry of how these designers could meet with these manufacturers. Designers could make a living. The manufacturers could support great new ideas and innovation. So,
yeah, I mean, and that was an amazing organization. It was sad when it ended, but I was part of that, and that's where I met a lot of my creative girlfriends. And we've just kind of folded into different organizations through that. But it's the history of it is just amazing. And for Tiffany to be able to, or want to come back into this industry, it made my heart sing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
When my mom passed, and I just thought I would never get back into crafts. And so when your whole life revolves around Aleene, it's very interesting. Even though I had other careers, it's very interesting to determine who you are at that point. And I had been out of the industry for a while, and I had the most wonderful blessing, because my mother and I did not get along through all of our adult years. So she was a strong woman and I'm a strong woman. And so she moved in with me in her last 5 years. We lived together, and it was the most wonderful blessing for both of us to get to know each other and love each other. And so that was an incredible blessing.
See, I mean, God always has a plan, I think.
Yes. And that
is your
plan.
I mean, you have that. You have every moment you had with your mom at the end, and that's
Yeah, and that was actually the first time I ever got to know her as my mom. She was always my boss, my business boss, and so sorry, I have some construction going on here, and so that was a beautiful blessing. So that's a very behind the scenes look at what went on in my personal life with a very public person. And in our industry, she was so revered, and
mm-hmm.
people would come to the craft shows and they'd cry in her presence. And it's like, oh my gosh, she's my mom.
And she always had, in later years, I don't know if she always did this, but she always had this beautiful gold pantsuit on. I remember that.
She was always very well dressed from the time I was a child. At that point in the 50s and 60s, it was hats, these big hats. And she was, yes, very much into that. And, there's a story, because a lot of people go, well, how did she start? And her first memory was she was born and raised in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. And she, her dad was a manager of a restaurant. Her mom was a bookie. And so she remembers getting discarded cigarette packages that had foil in them at the time, because I guess they just threw their trash out. And she would gather the foil, and then she'd go pick fresh flowers, and she'd put the foil around it, and she'd sell these little bouquets on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. So when people were going out, the Coconut Grove was a big place that people would gather to dance and such. She would stand outside and sell bouquets and then she'd take her friends to the movies. So that was her first entrepreneurship, of her creating something and realizing she could make something and sell it. But then it gets into when she got married, she was very interested in her flowers. She got married when she was 19. My dad was drafted into the war. And so she was trying to decide what she was going to do while he was in the military. And so she, it's a deeper story of how she actually got the money to start her business, but she started a florist. And she didn't have enough money for any sort of refrigerator. So they would buy the blocks of ice. And so they found some sort of glass front container that my grandfather brought ice to, and she went into downtown LA and bought fresh flowers. So she started as a florist, and then it moved. Somebody introduced her to some artificial flower materials, and the rest is history. So it's pretty interesting how you get from there to here,
Well, and through her career, I mean, she was on the Art Linkletter show. I mean, she was on a lot of shows.
Right. Dinah Shore, Tennessee Ernie Ford. When she first started in television, there were only 600 TV sets in Los Angeles. So it was so new that people hadn't bought TV sets. And our first TV, when we bought one because she was on TV, was, this big. Well, what did they do? They went bigger and bigger. And now what do they do? Down to this. But yes, so she, again, there's a great story. I'll do that. We'll do that in the history section of our pajama parties to kind of let people know how did she do that, because a woman in the 1940s and 50s didn't take the type of business steps and business risks that she did. So.
Right. I mean, she just knew. And so like in the pajama parties, we will be crafting and we will have guests, but we will also have trivia.
Yes.
So,
yes.
All
this trivia here.
That was actually, that entire thing was given to me.
Yes. And there's
by a dear friend in the industry who has passed away. And he told me to do what I felt was right with it, and sharing it is the most important thing. But I thought trivia would be great.
Yeah, I love what he did. He starts in 1649.
Yes.
He dates in the industry history, 1649. So I can't wait to share some of those things. He was able to document through 2014. So obviously a lot of details in here, and it's everyone who is creative needs to understand the history of where this came from. This whole amazing movement to make, of course, when my mom started, most women were in the home. They were home. And so we're trying to find different things to stay busy. And so that's, and then they found out how it felt. To me, there's this whole feeling about creativity. I'm sure all of your wonderful Bella Crafts fans, understand.
Kaylin says, I remember watching Aline with my grandma, and we would make something together that she had shown. See?
Yeah. How do we get back to that?
Yeah.
Do we get back to that? So, because even in my family, it skipped generations. I do not have any children, but my sister, well, all the other members of my family, but Heidi being like this amazing crafter, and she didn't, it didn't pass down. So I just want to encourage that.
Yeah. Well, and so like I taught all of my kids something, and they all, like, David works with it. He's building a house right now. I mean, to me, that is being creative, because somebody asked him, well, so how many houses have you built? He said, none. And this is like a 6,000 square foot house. I mean, it's huge. Wow. It's beautiful. But Michelle is my oldest daughter, and she needle pointed when she was younger. That's what she was interested in. That's what she did. But she has just taught herself to crochet, and she is crocheting because needlepoint. She had done bookmarks for all of her nieces and nephews because she hosts Easter at her house. So a couple of years ago, she did that, and she thought, all that work, and are they going to use it for a book? I mean, it's nothing they can really use. So she started crocheting, and she has made purses and hats and mittens, and she's making sweaters now. And then Callie, she has always crafted with me. She came with me to the show. She taught with me. So she does more things like with the Cricut and stuff. But I think I'm trying to teach all of the grandkids the importance of it too. But most of them, when they come, that's where they want to be. What are we going to do, Grandma? So
that's great. Oh my God.
I just, if we can pass that to our kids and grandkids, I think it's awesome. And sharing it with everybody is what we're trying to do.
Right.
And that's what Bella has done.
Yeah. And you have your BellaCon t-shirt on. Do you want to let everybody know what's coming?
Is it backwards for you guys?
No, I see it straight.
Okay, because I'm looking, it's backwards for me. I'm thinking. So BellaCon is coming up. We have figured out the dates, because actually BellaCon is in person for the instructors, or at least the majority of the instructors. And we hold it at my friend Julie McGuffey's house. So my husband and I are traveling right now. And so on the way down, we always stop at Julie's house and spend some time with her, a couple days. And her and I sat down with a calendar to figure out when, because we also have like the NAMTA show coming up. And then we have the H&H America show coming up. And everything's coming so fast. And we found that when we did BellaCon in February, there could be iffy weather, even in Texas. And then we did it in March, so we have moved it. It's going to be in May. I'll be putting the dates out soon. I'm just contacting all the instructors right now to see who we're going to have and who's going to be there in person. Not everybody will be there in person because of life. But they'll still be presenting live. It just won't be with all of the instructors together, but a lot of us will be together. And BellaCon is, we do a couple events. BellaCon is where you get the swag. And that's what I think most people love about it. Because if you can't get out and get to a in-person show, we used to do it in person at Mall of America. And then, a few years ago, everything stopped. And we haven't gotten back to in person yet. That is my dream, one day to be back in person with everybody. But we do have a lot of wonderful sponsors, and so there is swag. So I will send out the information sometime this month.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's great. That's exciting.
yeah. So I mean, I'm excited about it. And then with Faith-Filled Creatives, Tiffany and I also have some events that will be planned.
Yes.
So there's lots of crafty goodness coming our way.
Absolutely. It's amazing. And I don't know how you do it all.
Oh,
With everything that you do and your willingness to take on faith-filled creatives that we can team up and do this is just it fills my heart.
good.
So.
Good. Kaylin said, during Eileen's Tidy Up Challenge these past few weeks, I found Eileen's box maker and the bone folder that goes with it. Unfortunately, I don't have the directions on how to use it. Kaylin, I still have my box maker. I don't have the directions, but I do know how to use it. So maybe we'll share that during one of the pajama parties.
Perfect.
Because I do have it. I loved that box maker.
It is a very cool tool.
It was such a cool tool.
Yes.
Gina says, I love Julie. We all love Julie. Mm-hmm. Julie McGuffey, again, not a pioneer in the industry, but she has been in the industry nearly 30 some years. And she had her own TV show. And yeah, it's just amazing. Kaylin, in person is my dream too. Yes, I know.
Yeah, there's just nothing that compares to getting everybody together face to face. Well, it's just such a different dynamic.
And most of us are huggers.
Yes.
Nothing like a hug, you know, but
yes.
Even if you haven't met in person yet, you get to know people so well this way and you become great friends. Isabel, I'll make a mental date of the BellaCon and look forward to it. I really appreciate the fact that it's virtual as I'm able to join the fantastic group of designer workshops. Yes, I know, Isabel, it would be really hard for you since you're in Scotland. When I was bringing BellaCon back, it was going to be in person, but then everybody was saying, well, can't you do it virtual too? And in my mind, I was trying to figure out how to do it both ways. And then I thought, well, we'll just do it virtual. But what is different about BellaCon is that we have instructors together. So you kind of get to know their personalities a little bit, which is the fun part, I think. Gina, I had to miss the last one, but I'm all in for May. Perfect. Yes, we will put it out to everybody as soon as I have everything. You know, I might put the dates out earlier, but as soon as I need confirmation from all my instructors. Mm-hmm. So, yes. And then we'll also give you confirmation of when we will start Faith-Filled Creatives pajama parties, because
I want to make sure Anne gets everything she needs to get ready for BellaCon. And of course, you know, she has her online magazine, and we're just trying to figure out the right way so that it does not become overwhelming. We want this to be a joy to launch and not overwhelming. And here's the thing that keeps happening too. It's like, I'll learn of something new and I'll say, Anne, have you heard of this? Did you know we could do XYZ, which we're going to do, but we're not going to let everybody know that yet. And she'll go, oh gosh, one more thing for the list. And then, but there's so many cool tools and software and so many things that we can do now that just take this beyond anything that I had initially imagined. So,
yeah.
But and my love, of course, is publishing a magazine. And Anne and I reconnected because the Lord was putting on my heart to do a magazine, and I knew I needed to do it online. And our mutual friend Juliana, Jules Avalar, said, "Oh my gosh, just let me give you Anne's phone number. Pick up the phone. She'd be delighted to talk to you, even though we hadn't spoken in, I don't even know how many years. And, we just picked right back up where we left off. And so that's one of my passions is to do. I love the in-person. I love doing this, but there's something, we want to have a magazine that you can print off if you want to. If you're digital, that's fine. But there's something about being able to come back and see these instructions and see and the stories. I'm a storyteller. I love adding little stories into all of this. And so that will also be something that we're doing in Faith Filled Creatives. We'll have a subscription-based magazine because there's so much work that goes into these that,
Yes.
and we want to work with other designers, and we want to be able to support their business in their time. So that's
right. We want to pay them.
Correct. Yeah, there you go. Just say it as it is.
Yep.
So that's again bringing back. Aleen's had a magazine that started out as just a little newsletter once a week, and it was my sister Heidi who started that. We give her kudos for that. That grew into ended up being a 52-page monthly magazine that had 350,000 subscribers through news going into Joann's and Michael's. And so it was a print magazine. And again, that was really before all of this digital. So it was great. It was a great thing to do as a companion to the TV show.
Right.
Want to bring back all of those things that we did before and add some new opportunities.
Well, and while I have been doing Bella for 13 years and it's digital and it was the right thing at the time, I still love print. I mean, our books, we do print on demand. I print out a copy of all the books we do, even the ones I don't have available as print on demand because they would be too costly. There are some books that were so big when we first started, and I'm like, okay, we have to make smaller books because nobody can afford these books. But print copies, there's nothing like having it in your hands.
I know, and that's what I did with the issues that I published through you, which started out as Periwinkle Pomegranate, turned into In His Circle, and I had to have them printed. And it's so great when it's print on demand, so that you don't have to have a lot of extra inventory, that whoever wants to have it print can print it out. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm in the deep hunt for a scrapbooking program for Mac. I love traditional pages. I don't know. I haven't, I honestly never scrapbooked. No, I would scrapbook on canvases so it could hang, I did some scrapbooking stuff for some companies that wanted it, but I didn't do a lot of scrapbooking in albums. I like to show the work. Mm-hmm. So I haven't really researched that, Gina. If I come across something, I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's great. We want questions like this. We want to know what everyone wants. And, what are you crafting? What are you doing? What's missing? What would make it easier for you? How do we get your family to give you permission for craft time? Because that actually, when I was coming out of crafts in whatever year that was, scrapbooking was really just coming in. And it was so popular because you were doing something for the family. And I think women felt better about that than using that time to do something for themselves. And I think there's room for all of that. There's absolutely room for all of that. So
there is. And so I grew up sewing. Sewing was my love. And I mean, from the time I was tiny, I was sitting, my mom would be sewing, and can I sew? Can I sew? So finally she just gave me stuff, and I made clothes for my Barbies. I made my own pajamas without patterns. I loved it. And I went to school for fashion design. So I have that entire background. I used to sew all of my kids' clothes, but as years went on, it was cheaper to just buy the shorts than to make the shorts when the fabric cost more. So that slowed down quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But I would rather make a complete outfit than do a repair, like to put a new zipper in something. I would rather just make a whole open. I don't like alterations or
Right.
any of that stuff. But I would like, I have taught a couple of my granddaughters how to sew, basically making pillows or quilting. I just want them to know how, whether they use it or not in the future. But I just think all that stuff's important.
I agree.
You know, Kaylin, I prefer to touch tangible books and magazines. Yes. Yes. I mean, I love the magazine. I love doing it. The ebooks I love, but I love that we make them print on demand. I used to make the magazine print on demand, and there were some people that did buy it, but I just stopped that because there weren't enough to where it made that much of a difference. And Mike Hartnett, the one that gave me that history of the craft industry, he sought me out at one of the shows when I first started Bella Crafts Publishing. And he is the one that impressed upon me so much that what I was doing was right, because everything was going toward the digital. And he said, it will come back around. Don't you worry. It will come back around. And he was right.
It's such a blessing for this industry for you to have kept this going when so many others in the industry dropped out. A lot of women that we knew in the industry, you know, you stayed, Juliana stayed. And what a blessing for us who are being called back right now. I truly don't think I would be wanting to go so deeply into doing this if it were not for you, and because of everything that you do and everything that you have kept going. I don't feel like anyone could have started from scratch. And so the fact that you've held the history and you've been able to keep this going, it's really important. And I thank you for that.
Well, thank you. At 66 on the 15th, happy birthday, Gina. I give myself permission every day. So you give yourself permission to craft every day. I love that, because
that's perfect.
You know, my mom is still with us. She is 92 and she's been having some issues. And she grew up crocheting all my life. My mom made tablecloths and everything crocheted, and she isn't able to do that anymore. So I try to talk to her every day. But when I talk to her, you know, I still try to encourage her to maybe try something else, because crocheting has just gotten too difficult. But I love the fact that she was able to do it as long as she could. And it means so much to have those handmade things. And maybe people don't realize that yet. You know, like when you give a handmade gift, you're giving a piece of your heart.
Yes.
And some people, it takes them many years to realize what you've given them.
Right.
To give up.
Right. No, and that's what I think that's going to be part of the permission giving, is if you start, first of all, thinking it in terms of gift giving, because I don't know how many more things people need around the house in general crafts, but definitely the gift giving is so important. It's so easy for us to just get on the computer and order something and it ships out and all of that. I just want to see us get back to the handmade, in-person community. Let's go have a cup of coffee. And the other thing that I've done with my sisters is we've reached that age in our life where it's like, oh, I don't want to have to get you something for Christmas. I don't want to have to get you something on a date. So we've all agreed that when we see something that speaks to us for them throughout the year, that's what we're going to do. And so you can do the same thing when you're crafting. It's like, make a few things. Like I have sitting on my desk some of my ceramic work that I do. So these
beautiful
clay work. And And so it's like, these are going to go into my gift giving box, so that, and always put on the back, make sure you put your signature or whatever. But it makes me feel good that I know I can give somebody something that I made, that's handmade.
Mhm.
Anyway.
I have one of those. She gifted me one. I have it in my studio.
So I made a bunch of them. So a lot of people are getting them as special gifts, because when I started getting back into crafts, and my sister Heidi she had a mosaic and clay studio. So I sat down one day and I thought, I think I want to start playing with the clay, and oh boy, can't stop me in that. So, and it's fun because in this particular work that I'm doing, the hearts are clay, but the background is monoprint. So that's been fun, do the jelly prints. But when you make these hearts, you can make, 24, 48 at a time, because you make big batches of them. So this is the ceramic part.
I'm going to make you bigger so you can show those a little
okay,
bit more.
let's see.
Okay, so
everything's reflecting back in it too.
It is, but they are just
so
beautiful. There you go.
So I make
beautiful.
these clay hearts. So you're rolling out your clay and you're cutting it with cookie cutters, and then you put it in the kiln for the first firing, and then you put the glazing on it, and I put sprinkles on it, and then I make different words. And then I've been doing, got totally hooked on the jelly print.
So that's very cool. Yes.
And so, you make your own paper and find some, relatively inexpensive frames. So you have some really great gifts for people. So do that. Make crafts for gifts for other people. That'll be part of Faith-Filled Creatives' mission.
Yes. I just saw that Kaylin and Gina have the same birthday. So happy birthday next week to both of you. How incredible that you both are here. You have the same birthday and you met here.
That's wonderful.
I love it.
Great.
Isabel said those are really beautiful, and they are.
Thank you.
Well, we are at almost an hour, and we have talked your ears off, I'm sure. But we love what we do, and we love sharing, and we love that all of you are here with us. We do give away a prize every single week when we are live. And since we weren't live last week, I have got, I even forgot to mention, like, share, and comment with the hashtag Bella Crafts to be entered for next week's this week's giveaway, but we always announce a week later. That way everybody who's watching the replay has a chance to win also. And the person who won last week isn't here. She's normally here. I love it when they're here because it's just so much fun to give things away. But the winner of 2 weeks ago is Angie Self. And she won a $25 gift card from Lawn Fawn. So Angie, if you get your information to me, I need your email address, and I will get it sent off to Lawn Fawn so you can get your gift card. And congratulations. So for this week, the giveaway, I haven't decided what it is yet, but make sure you like, share, and comment, and we'll announce that next week. And I'm sure it will be from Bella, so it will be a box of goodies that will be sent to the winner. I am traveling right now, so it won't come for a bit because Lisa is under the weather and she won't be able to get anything together either. So, but we will announce that next week. Tiffany, those are so incredible. Wow. I love it.
I do have an Etsy shop. You can see the other ones at my Etsy shop.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's called Inspired at Home is my Etsy shop name. So
yes, I think, yes, it is. So check out Tiffany's Etsy shop. And loved every moment today. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
So thank you all for being here. I will be back next week. I am doing another Crafty Talk Time with Eileen Hall next week. So make sure you guys come back. And the reason I'm not actually doing projects is I'm traveling. So I did bring things to do projects if I had to, but Tiffany was so kind to come on with me today, and Eileen offered to come on next week. So I just think we hadn't done interviews in a while, and it's just fun to catch up with our crafty girlfriends. Best wishes to Lisa and safe journey on your travels, and thank you, Isabel. Lisa, get well soon. Yes, yes. I know has some discomfort right now, so she appreciates all the get well wishes and the prayers. So we appreciate it too. And we always like to say, take some time to craft because it's good for your soul. And we all believe that. And we will see you next week. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.